In the peaceful village of Anatolia, India, a farmer began to notice something strange. His prized cow was unusually calm each morning. Intrigued, Ravi Patel, the farmer, decided to set up a camera to uncover what might be visiting his cow in the dead of night. What the footage revealed left him utterly stunned. Ravi had spent his entire life in Anatolia, a village nestled at the edge of a dense jungle, home to a small community of farmers and their families. Though the villagers were accustomed to the occasional appearance of wild animals, these encounters were usually harmless. However, recent sightings of a leopardess and her cub had sparked concern. While the leopardess was eventually captured and relocated for the villagers' safety, her cub had mysteriously escaped capture, keeping the villagers on edge. Life returned to normal, or so it seemed. Then, villagers began noticing signs that the young leopard was still around. Footprints and claw marks appeared near homes, and the occasional distant growl could be heard at night. Despite these signs, the leopard cub remained elusive. A few weeks after the leopardess was relocated, Raven noticed something odd about his cow, Ronnie. Every morning, she seemed much calmer and happier than usual. This was strange, especially since she had recently lost her calf and had been upset for days. But now she seemed at peace and didn't appear worried about any dangers from the jungle. Though curious, Ravi wasn't too concerned and went about his daily work, but he kept a close eye on Ronnie. Over time, he couldn't shake the feeling that something unusual was happening. He noticed small changes in her behavior. She would often look toward the barn door as if waiting for someone. Her milk production also increased, which was a surprise but welcome one. Ravi shared his observations with his wife, Mira, and a few trusted villagers. To his surprise, others had also noticed strange things on their farms. Their animals seemed unusually calm, and there were rumors of a mysterious visitor during the night. Determined to find out what was going on, Ravi set up a camera in the barn to record any nighttime activity. It was an easy task, and he made sure the camera captured the entire barn. That night, as he got ready for bed, Ravi was excited to see what was happening. Why was Ronnie so calm? He hoped to find out the next morning. The following day, Ravi eagerly checked the footage. His heart raced as he saw a shadowy figure quietly enter the barn. It took him a moment to understand what he was seeing. A young leopard cub, barely visible in the dim light, approached Ronnie. To his amazement, Ronnie turned her head and nuzzled the cub gently. The cub then curled up beside her, and she responded with motherly affection. Ravi couldn't believe his eyes. He watched the footage over and over, trying to understand how this bond had formed. Why had the leopard cub chosen his barn and his cow for comfort? Leopards are known to be solitary, elusive hunters, not animals that seek out companionship, especially with a cow. They usually avoid contact with humans and domestic animals unless hunting. This made the situation even more extraordinary, and, Ravi realized, potentially risky. Night after night, Ravi would set up the camera and eagerly check the footage each morning. The leopard cub, whom he affectionately named Choti, visited Ronnie regularly. Their connection was undeniable. But with this new relationship came a series of challenges and worries. Initially, Ravi tried to keep the visits a secret from the wider village. He feared that the presence of a wild leopard, even a cub, would spark panic and calls for its removal. However, as the news slowly spread, the villagers' curiosity grew. Many came to Ravi's farm in the hope of catching a glimpse of the unusual pair. Ravi found himself in the role of both protector and mediator. He made it his job to ensure that neither Ronnie nor Choti were disturbed by the constant attention. The villagers had mixed reactions. Some were captivated by the unusual friendship and saw it as a miraculous sign of nature's wonders. Others were skeptical and concerned, worried about the potential dangers of having a leopard so close to human habitation. Ravi understood their fears but remained firm in his resolve to protect both Ronnie and Choti. He believed that their bond was something special, something worth safeguarding. Suddenly, Ravi's days were filled with additional responsibilities. He reinforced the barn to make sure it was safe for both Ronnie and Choti. He also consulted with local wildlife experts and veterinarians to ensure that the leopard cub was healthy and not a threat to the other animals on the farm. Over the next few weeks, the villagers' concerns began to subside. The sight of Ronnie and Choti together became a symbol of harmony and coexistence. Ravi continued to monitor their interactions and document their behavior. However, the presence of Choti also attracted the attention of local authorities. wildlife officials visited Ravi's farm and expressed their concerns about the potential dangers of harboring a wild leopard, even if it was a cub. They discussed the possibility of relocating Chody to a wildlife sanctuary where the cub could be safe and free from human interference. Ravi felt torn. He understood the officials' concerns, but he also knew that separating Runny and Chody would be devastating for both of them. The bond they shared was unique and irreplaceable. As he stood in the barn, watching Runny and Chody nuzzle each other, Ravi resolved to find a way to protect their extraordinary friendship. One crisp morning, Ravi reviewed the latest footage from the barn. He watched as Chody entered. Runny greeted Chody with a gentle nuzzle, and the two settled into their usual positions. However, this time something extraordinary happened. Chody began to groom Runny, carefully licking the cow's ears and neck in a display of affection and care. Ravi's eyes widened with amazement. This level of bonding was beyond anything he had expected. Word of the remarkable footage spread quickly through the village. Villagers gathered at Ravi's farm, eager to see the evidence with their own eyes. There were murmurs of astonishment as they watched the interaction between Runny and Chody. Even the most skeptical among them couldn't deny the clear bond of affection and trust between the two animals. The village elders immediately called for another meeting. This time, the mood was different. The initial fear and skepticism had given way to wonder and curiosity. The footage had shown them that the relationship between Runny and Chody was not just a fleeting interaction, but a meaningful bond. After much discussion, the elders decided to allow the leopard to stay, at least for the time being. They agreed that as long as Chody remained harmless and Runny was not distressed, there was no immediate need to intervene. Next, a local reporter got wind of the story of the leopard cub and the cow. One article later, journalists from nearby towns and even national news outlets visited the village. The once quiet village of Anatolia found itself in the spotlight, and curious visitors arrived daily to catch a glimpse of the remarkable duo. Ravi's farm became a center of attention as news crews arrived to cover the unique bond between Runny and Chody. Despite the spotlight, Ravi and his family remained focused on protecting the animals. Wildlife experts and veterinarians visited, offering their help and monitoring Chody's health. Fascinated by the relationship, Ravi, initially hesitant, appreciated the added support. However, concerns grew as Chody rapidly matured. Authorities warned that keeping a wild predator near humans was risky. Amid these debates, Chody began bringing larger prey to the barn, assuming the role of provider for Runny, which amazed the villagers. As pressure to relocate Chody mounted, Ravi struggled to protect the bond between the cow and the leopard. One night, Chody fiercely defended Runny from another predator, showing her loyalty and role as Runny's guardian. This moment revealed the depth of their extraordinary relationship, but the safety concerns persisted. The next day, Ravi shared the story with the villagers and wildlife officials. The news of Chody's protective instincts spread quickly. As Ravi had hoped, it added a new dimension to the ongoing debate. While some remained concerned about the potential dangers, others were moved by the display of loyalty and care. Even the authorities began to reconsider their stance. They acknowledged that the situation was unique and that the bond between the cow and the leopard cub was unprecedented. They reluctantly agreed to allow Chody to stay under strict monitoring and with additional safeguards to ensure the safety of both the animals and the villagers. As weeks passed, the village of Anatolia was abuzz with the remarkable story of the cow and the leopard cub. One evening, as Ravi watched Runny and Chody together, he realized the deeper connection between them. Chody had been orphaned after the leopardess was relocated, and Runny, grieving the loss of her calf, had taken on a motherly role for the young cub. It wasn't just survival, it was a bond born of shared loss and need. Chody grew into a strong young leopard, becoming more independent and exploring the edges of the farm. Ravi knew the time would come for Chody to return to the wild. One morning, he watched as Chody, standing at the edge of the jungle, nuzzled him before disappearing into the forest. The farm felt different without Chody, but Runny seemed content, having fulfilled her nurturing role. Villagers continued to visit, sharing stories of the unique bond, and Ravi's farm became a place where people learned about coexistence and the powerful connections that can form in nature. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comment section. Thank you.